everyone. Welcome to our decisions videos. For any of you who haven't tuned into our decisions before, we basically have started these videos in the last few weeks in light of the current situation, and just showing you guys like the real aspects of what's going on behind the scenes that's a little bit more serious than our quite fun everyday day-to-day snappy wrap-ups. So if you see the yellow video box, so the yellow outside, then and it's decisions, it means something big is going on with aesthetic laundry that we've had to change, or that we're going to try and do, or yeah, basically. So today's one, Joss is. I'm like, Joss, it's a very difficult one, but it's a good one, especially if you are a small business owner. I think you can relate, or if, but Joss.
Yeah, massively. I think, we decided to film today because it's now been 3 weeks since lockdown kind of officially began, and obviously everything started to change, and lots of companies had to kind of like close their doors, and we are so aware that everyone is in exactly the same boat. So like Heidi said, I think if you're a small business and you're watching this, you're going to be like, yeah, absolutely can relate. We're all going through the same thing. And then for those of you that just know aesthetic law in terms of the clothes that we sell, it's just to give you a bit of an insight in like in terms of like where we're at. We always have tried to say that when we were doing the daily snappy wrap-ups, it was about giving you an honest insight into what was going on behind the scenes in the studio on a day-to-day basis. This is kind of like another step on from that, and it's like literally now what's going on behind the scenes, but clearly what we're doing from home. And this one is more just to say, like, in the last 3 weeks, like what we've kind of had to, some of the business decisions that we've had to make in order to kind of keep going. Because I think the first thing that when the Chancellor did his update in terms of the financial support that you could get, we don't qualify for really any of the grants or anything like that. Just I think we sit kind of in this grey area where we're not so small that we can do like get individual support, whilst we're not big enough that we also qualify for other kind of support. So the long and short of it is that we don't qualify for much, and so instead what we have been doing is trying to take steps to keep our business afloat and try and ride the wave of this pandemic for as long as possible, and hopefully therefore come out the other side. So I guess the first thing that I did want to say that we've done, because it was one of the steps that we could take based on what the government was offering, was this furloughing. So we looked into whether we could furlough all of us, and in the end we've just furloughed Liv, because she is obviously back in Australia and isn't here to continue to work at the moment. So we are lucky enough that we are going to be able to put forward Liv to be furloughed as she cannot work, and then that will help us, like I was saying, like ride this wave until she can come back in and can work with us again. So that's that thing that we've done. And we looked into furloughing myself, furloughing Heidi, because we thought maybe we would do better to just completely shut down, because obviously you can't work when you're furloughed. But actually we can still, or Heidi can still go to the studio, and we very much want to carry on working behind the scenes, and if we can, and therefore we kind of weighed up the pros and cons, and actually it's a better business decision for us, for you and I, to keep going and to push through. Yeah. So that's why we haven't.
Yeah, and then what we have done is I go to the studio a lot less now, and I cycle, and because I live close enough, I can cycle in, and so I take down a bit of bacterial spray and literally spray the cycle before and after I use it, and I can go in and it's only me in the studio, and then there's no one else around in the studios, and so it's just, we are able to do that. That's why our orders are taking a lot longer. But apart from that, going into the studio, so then we have like 3 or 4 days, and you obviously have 5 days at home. We have all this time to plan what we can do and like to grow behind the scenes, if that makes sense. So so that's what we're doing. It's quite difficult being away from each other, isn't it? Like, so,
yeah. I think we can all relate. I think everyone, you think at the beginning, okay, work from home, I'll be more productive because I'm going to roll out of bed and work. I don't know. And actually, I think a lot of us all feel like the whole thing is incredibly overwhelming and really, really difficult. But for us, just to be able to keep working and not stop entirely, that was our preference. So that hence why we're not furloughed. It goes without saying that obviously money is tight, as it will be for everyone at the moment. And so the other steps that we've taken, we are part of like a group of studios that are looked after by a company called Bow Arts, or actually they're also a charity. They have very kindly offered the artists rent holidays for the next 3 months, which means that we don't have to pay rent now for the next 3 months, but we can then pay it back over the coming year in installments. So we have taken that from Bo, which was really helpful, because that means it's just kind of one less big sum of money going out each month, and to be able to split that once hopefully we've ridden this wave and we're out the other side and things are hopefully starting to go back to normal, that's really beneficial. We've also deferred payment to the HMRC. So obviously when you're a company and you have employees, you have to pay tax on those each of your employees. So we have similarly to Bo, HMRC are offering the same thing. It's you're able to defer these payments so they don't disappear, but you can pay them back in a few months' time when hopefully things are more kind of back to normal. So again, we've opted to do this, and we are deferring payments to HMRC. And then the other kind of person that we're like not partnering with, work with, would be our fabric supplier. So we have one fabric supplier that's still open. And
thank you. Yeah, so what the one person who is staying open, he's being really, really, really kind to us, and he's extended his terms for us and things like that. Like, he's just being, yeah, really, really lovely.
Yeah, and I think to be able to kind of be in like personal contact with someone who is still open, and they as a supplier are slightly bigger than us, and I'm sure they've got potentially a lot of other customers, clients like us, potentially saying the same thing to them. And we just had a very honest conversation with them, and they were just incredibly kind and said we could also do kind of payment installments to them, whereas normally we would pay them up front. So we basically have made kind of all these different decisions. You are still there? Sorry, you were like paused like this.
You're staggering as well. I think we're back to normal now. Put your hand up.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're a bit behind. Okay.
Okay.
I think we're all right.
I'll keep going. So we've taken all these steps to kind of reduce costs, because kind of obviously income is reduced. And I know that we've mentioned before about preparing to go to the bank to potentially get a business loan. I think what we're trying to keep in the back of our minds is that it's very much still on the cards for us, but loans aren't free money, and when you are potentially going to come out the other side in a very uncertain climate, we don't know what the economic situation is going to be when we are finally out of lockdown. And for us to commit to a large loan that will of course have interest and those kinds of things, when we're already trying to reduce costs at the moment and defer payments just to see us through the next few months, we just have to be so careful before we apply for it, because it's such a fine line between getting what you need to keep your business going, but also not crippling yourselves when you get out the other side, because you suddenly have to pay back a lot of the things that you've been stalling to get through these months. So I guess, well, in conclusion, we haven't figured everything out yet. We just wanted to kind of give you an update on where we're at, and I'm sure, like we were saying, so many of you can probably relate and are probably doing the exact same thing at the moment, but we're just trying to like get through these next few months, and ideally we do it through kind of ideally it doesn't involve a lot of borrowing. That would be our overall aim. If we can keep ourselves afloat doing the work on our side and keep our business going that way, as opposed to having to go to the bank, obviously that would be our preference, but we are just preparing for the fact that might not be possible. And then when it isn't possible, that's also fine, and we will do everything we can to keep this business going. We're just gonna,
it feels really like, come on, like,
yeah. And I think actually saying that, like, if anything, as much as the conversations are like very intense, and it is scary, it's so bloody scary,
Yeah.
but we know that everyone is in the same situation and everyone is doing what they can, and it's so amazing to see what other people are doing to ensure that, like, the way everyone is pivoting to make what they do, whatever their business may be, work for the time that we're in now. The amount of community support that everyone is offering one another, in terms of, especially within the small business community, is just amazing. And if anything, it's giving us like the biggest push, even though we have the biggest drive to be like, we can do it and we will get through this and we'll do everything we can. Seeing everyone also like coming together and pushing one another along is amazing. And it's like we're all fighting for the same cause, even though we all have our own companies. So I would say, as difficult it is, like we are so driven by like wanting, obviously, for us to be able to survive, but also by seeing what everyone else is doing.
Oh, Joss, I feel like crying.
You will do this.
We'll never get through. So yes, I think that's everything for this decisions video.
Yeah.
I hope you guys can find it useful or can relate, or
yeah, exactly. It's just to keep you guys updated. There isn't really any like conclusion out of it. It's just to keep you in loop with what's going on. Yeah.
Oh, right, let's go. Thank you everyone
Yeah.
for watching.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.